As I walk through the atmospheric corridors of Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster, I'm conflicted. Despite some superficial improvements, the same entry in the lauded survival horror series has predictable pacing, a weak story, and forgettable enemies that constantly overshadow its positives.
And the world will burn in an inferno of hate!
None of what was wrong with the 2002 original is fixed in this version.
Resident Evil 0.
Admittedly, the 1080p update looks good thanks to improved lighting. I noticed only occasional frame rate hiccups on the Xbox One version. The animated pre-rendered backgrounds still hold up and contain lots of detail, and the dark environments create an evocative atmosphere. It's a shame the blurry, upscaled cutscenes didn't age as well, and no effort was made to redo them. This HD remaster can bounce between the original 4:3 aspect ratio and a 16:9 view that zooms in and cuts off the top and bottom of the image. The closer camera lets you get a better look at the characters and environments, but it can sometimes obscure important items easily seen in 4:3 mode.
Well, I don't...
Clue in, girl. Or maybe you like being worm bait.
And while purists can keep the original tank-style controls, the default mode is an updated scheme that makes moving and bouncing between the two characters in the campaign easy and approachable. None of these improvements make RE0's constant inventory juggling act any less tedious, though. Swapping weapons and gizmos between Rebecca and Billy is always a hassle. The improved presentation and controls feels fruitless since RE0 is such a by-the-numbers story. The 6 to 8 hour campaign wastes a bunch of time explaining things in an attempt to build up some context around the first Resident Evil.
It just doesn't make sense.
But ends up with lots of unsurprising reveals. Mutant creatures and bosses appear exactly when and where you expect them to. And if you listen close enough, you can almost hear the bottom of the zombie monster barrel getting scraped clean when this Centurion appears. There's just one monster I'd consider scary or interesting, and that one is squandered. The only bit of content added in this remaster is an unlockable mode that lets you replay the same poor story as recurring villain Albert Wesker.
Who is that guy?
Though using his enhanced super abilities was more fun, feels like an awkward apology for the rest of Resident Evil 0's bland and forgettable attempt at survival horror. Outside of nostalgia, there's not much reason to revisit. For everything
Resident Evil.
keep it right here at IGN.